G'day all, welcome back to the G-Man Show. We're back on the internet again, and today we're looking at 7 News Australia, and I came across this news broadcast, and it's about YouTube now being banned for teens in Australia, and also talking about Victoria now coming up with some of the toughest bail laws for juvenile defenders. So we'll jump straight into this. And as always, if you want to watch this report without me commenting and stopping it and all that, it's in the video description.
This morning on the Sunrise Early News, social media shock. Our teens set to be banned from YouTube. How the platform has hit back. Bail outrage. Victoria flags the country's toughest laws for repeat offenders. Why can't the Premier say when they'll be introduced? New details about the moment a gunman opened fire inside a New York office building, who he was actually looking for. And speed demons raise debate. Just how far are Australians pushing to go on our highways?
Yeah, another more nanny state thing. I've been over to Europe. I've been on the autobahn where there are at times no speed limits, to my understanding, and I didn't feel any more unsafe. I think this will be another way for the government, once again, or the police force, through speed cameras to raise more revenue. Is it unsafe to go 64 kilometres instead in a 60 kilometre zone and also warrants, a $400 or $500 fine? You tell me. I think it's all about the person driving the car, people paying attention to the road, not so much the speed in itself. Because you've got all these speed limits, people are still having a whole bunch of accidents every single day, banging into each other, running red lights, doing all sorts of dumb stuff. So I think, I don't know. It's just my thoughts on that.
Live across Australia, this is Sunrise Early News.
Good morning. First this morning, by the end of the year, Australian children under the age of 16 will be blocked from using YouTube as the federal government adds the platform to its landmark social media ban. Live to Josh.
Here we go. So we have probably the biggest nanny state or nanny country in the whole entire world. My honest opinion is this isn't about children. This is just the way that this is all done for people to have to log in and, verify their identity, which I'd be interested to see what sort of parameters you need to put in and how much personal information you need to put in to validate that you are over 18 years old. I actually believe it's a way that you are going to have to register to use the internet, and you are going to be able to be traced every single thing you look up. And to me, it's just very underhanded, because if they were to say, you know what, we want people to log into the internet, we want you to sign in with your passport or your 100-point verification check with your passport or your driver's license or your birth certificate. I don't think anyone's really going to go for that. But because it's for the kids, it's for the kids. It's for the kids, guys. We're going to do it for the kids. It gets through. You call me a tinfoil hatter. Say I'm cooking on the glass Barbie. That's fine. It's just the way that I see it. It's just the way it comes across to me. Yes, there should be some elements I believe should be controlled. I'm not sure it's by the government. I think it should be more from the platforms themselves, because there are a lot of instances that you hear about where kids torment other kids from school, like 24 hours a day, and humiliate them and bully them on these platforms. So yes, something absolutely needs to be done about that. But could that just be blatantly, if a person is evidenced to have done that, then that particular child or person, whoever's being an aggressor and harassing somebody and causing them mental health issues, they get banned off that platform. So they can't use it anymore. Not that the whole country needs to go and sign in and validate who they are. There are many different ways you could do this. So if you think about some of those points that I just made, why is everybody in this country having to sign into the internet? It could be, as I said, it could be done in a far more targeted way.
Martin in Canberra for us. Josh, morning to you. This was a bit of a surprise. YouTube also quick to respond.
Morning, Eddie. Yeah, YouTube are concerned. They believed they had an exemption, and then a month or so ago, the e-safety commissioner, Julie Inman-Grant, put out some research suggesting that YouTube actually is harmful for younger people. They'd surveyed some teenagers who said that they'd have some of their most harmful experiences online on the YouTube platform.
That's interesting. I'd like to see those surveys, and I'm not doubting it. It just doesn't sound sort of right to me. What would be some of the harmful experiences, especially if we're talking to bullying and things like that? Would it be maybe through the comments? Who knows? Or kids just getting addicted to YouTube or the content on YouTube and not being able to focus on their school and all that sort of stuff. A little bit more detail needs to be provided as to why. And this is going to be tough news for all those parents out there who can't put on whatever it is, Peppa Pig and all that sort of stuff, and make their little child a zombie while they can get on with their housework and all that sort of stuff. Maybe that's what it is. Who knows? But yeah, more detail required, I believe. Not just, oh yeah, we surveyed some kids. So yeah, actually, we're going to ban it for everybody and make everyone have to sign up for it.
The government has overnight announced that it will listen to the advice of the e-safety commissioner and put YouTube on the banned list. This under 16 social media ban comes into effect on December 10. The government's still figuring out how the technology will work, but YouTube has put out a statement. It says it understands what the government is doing. We share the government's goal of addressing and reducing online harms. Our position remains clear. YouTube is a video sharing platform with a library of free, high-quality content increasingly viewed on TV screens. It's not social media. The government's announcement today reverses a clear public commitment to exclude YouTube from this ban. We will consider next steps and continue to engage with the government. Eddie, it's important to note that you...
Absolutely. How does it... That doesn't make too much sense to me. It just sounds like a lot of overreach. Think about it. If you're watching it on TV screens, especially, the comments aren't easily viewable. You're watching it like it's a streaming service. And it's very much set up that way. So to me, it's just reeks a little bit. Something's a bit off with this. Have a think about this. In this new world we're living in, post all the stuff that happened over the last 5 years, especially around us all being locked down for months and all that on end, especially here in Melbourne, Victoria, people just accept everything. Oh yeah, well it's for the kids. Yeah, well banning YouTube. Have a think. That's, in my honest opinion, that's overreach. How's it dangerous? I'd love to know how it's dangerous. Look, maybe TikTok. Maybe TikTok should be banned for teens. I'm sure it probably will be, but I could understand that being in the firing line, because there's all sorts of stupid things that teenagers post, like trends and stuff like that. And they end up copying each other and trying to one up each other. And, causing them self-harm. I'm sure a lot of bullying and stuff goes on TikTok. It's the Wild West over there. But yeah, YouTube, very interesting. And once again, this video really isn't about YouTube that I'm talking about. It's how that's been lumped in with minimal explanation. Because I think YouTube make a very good point. It's a streaming platform. It's like saying Netflix. Netflix is social media.
YouTube Kids will not be banned as it's considered educational content. We'll find out more from the Communications Minister, Annika Wells. She'll be on Sunrise later this morning, Eddie.
Yeah, and how they plan to police it as well. Thank you so much for that, Josh. A big issue for parents today. The Victorian government's been...
We're also not going to ban the kids, because there'd be way too much pushback. There's hundreds of millions of kids watching that every day. It's a lot of revenue. And livelihoods wrecked of creators who develop that content in that niche, children's entertainment, educational entertainment, cartoons and things like that. So they've even thought about it. They could put a lot of people out of jobs, ruin a lot of people's businesses. That's what they are. They're creating content, and those children who watch, they consume it. That's how they make money. from the... I'm not sure how kids works, if it's got ads on it or not. I don't watch any of that stuff, but very, very interesting time we're living in, guys. Put it in the comments. What do you guys think about all this social media ban and all that? Is it part of a bigger agenda here, and we're pushing it through, and it's getting through with minimal pushback because it's for the kids? It's for the kids, guys. Think about the kids. Also, if you're not a kid, you also need to log in, and you also need to validate yourself. And you probably your blueprint, your footprint, so to speak, of every single thing you look at will be mapped against your name. And now I know they can do this sort of stuff anyway. Like if people want to know what you're looking at, just trace it to your IP address and they have an investigation about it. Say you did something wrong on the internet, and you hear about those cases, where someone's offed somebody and they get their laptop and they're able to work out what they've been looking at and what they've been posting and all that, just by having their internet details. They go right into the history of it and do an analysis. So that can be done. So, I don't know. Something stinks here. All right, halfway through, guys. If you could please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my content, that would be much appreciated. Please also like, comment, share. YouTube has changed it once again. The amount of engagement a video gets drives... it drives the benefit that the content creator gets, i.e. Ad revenue, etc. It's not just purely on the views anymore. So it's about engagement, watch length, and all of that. So if you are enjoying it, please help out the channel to grow through liking, commenting, sharing it with your friends, and watching the videos through. All right, let's go.
Accused of kicking the can down the road over what it's called the toughest new bail laws in the country. New legislation will see stricter tests for repeat offenders trying to get bail. However, the government says the changes...
So I've got a strict law. Deport them out of the country. Deport them out of the country. I've got some bleeding hearts that have been putting things on comments on my videos saying, well, gee, man, how can you make a correlation between certain backgrounds and crime? You can see it on the video. This is all a trend that's been happening over the last 10 years or so, since all this immigration has spiked. I'm not saying all immigrants. People take it like I'm attacking all immigrants are criminals. No, but there are some bad apples that come in that will do certain things that traditionally you wouldn't have heard of much before. Yes, they probably happened before, but how often were you hearing about people kicking someone's door in to go in and threaten a family at knife point in the middle of the night and steal their car? You never hear about that. Yeah, you get, people shoplifting and robbing things and all that. Yeah, that's always been around. It's in every single country. But all these violent crimes, home invasions, carjackings, machete attacks, gang warfare. Yes, these things have happened probably previously. But there is every second night you're seeing it on the news. So what's the correlation? I'll let you work it out. As I said, I don't think all immigrants are bad people. Most of them are fantastic. They want to come over and they want to have a great life. Don't get me started on the immigration scam. I actually feel sorry for the immigrants coming over. They're sold a dream. They pay all this money in visas and whatever else to get over here. And then they land in an absolute dumpster fire of a joint that they're going to pay hundreds of, $700 a week for rent. They probably weren't told that on the way in on the application form. And the cost of living's through the roof. And we're in a housing shortage, housing crisis. Everyone's angry. So I'll give you a tough bail law. Don't bail them. Lock them up. And get them out of the country too. Just put them on a barge, send it off. See you later. Just like I think Greece recently did that. There were videos about that. And they were deporting a whole bunch of immigrants who have been breaking laws. No nonsense. You start deporting people and being serious about it, shipping them off, you watch the drop in crime. Might take a little while for it to sink in, but if they know you're dead serious, you're gone.
Won't come into effect until there's enough room in the state's prisons and it's safe to do so. Premier Jacinta Allen also conceded she got bail laws wrong earlier this year and more needs to be done to crack down on crime. Queensland's public school teachers are set to strike next week after the government's latest pay offer was rejected. More than 1,000 teachers have joined the union in the past fortnight. Education Queensland says principals will be responsible for the safety of any child who has to attend school during the strike. It's been 16 years since thousands of teachers last week walked off the job and marched on Parliament. The New South Wales Premier Chris Minns has faced opposition from within his own party over his opposition against a pro-Palestinian march across the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Police will seek to block the planned march, applying to the Supreme Court to categorise it as unlawful.
Look at these guys. Yeah, okay. As I said, I don't have a viewpoint on all that. I'm not knowledgeable about that conflict. It's just not something I'm interested in living on the other side of the world, okay? I understand bad things are happening. But I'm more worried about things that are happening in my country here. People marching over Australians marching over Chinese people. Go to China. Chinese people marching over the Australia Day being cancelled in Australia and having huge marches, over in the middle of in highways over there. It just doesn't happen. We let it happen here. So how's it unreasonable to say we don't want people shutting down Sydney Harbour Bridge, which is going to be incredibly disruptive? That's the whole point of protests. And these protests, what's the point of it? I understand the drive behind it. Everyone, all these guys here, go and buy your plane ticket and show how steadfast you are to the cause and go and march in the streets over there. Directly protest against the people doing these things that you are against. That's what you should be doing, not doing it in Australia. You're 100% safe and there's going to be no outcome from the protests. You just annoy everybody. Once again, I'm going to say I'm not into the politics. I know nothing about it. It's not something I'm educated on. I'm talking about purely from a perspective of disruption to the public of people who live on the other side of the world. Once again, as I'll say, if you want to be so disruptive and defiant, go and do it over there. I'm sure it'll have more impact. I'm sure you'll be ducking and weaving though. Like I won't be disrupting hundreds of thousands of people getting to work and business and all of that over here. We live in a real interesting society here, where we're not worried about all of our own homegrown issues. We're pandering to everything happening all over the world, but not worrying about and focusing on things happening here. Why are there protests in Palestine? There should be protests in the street about this housing crisis and property unaffordability and opportunities for the future due to the job market being bad. And we're importing hundreds of thousands of people every single year. Therefore, that person needs an opportunity. So that's an opportunity from somebody local doesn't get. So the competition goes through the roof. Call me a racist. I'm just saying, why aren't we protesting about that? Oh, you can't do that. No, we can protest about Palestine and Ukraine war and all these sorts of things that everyone wants to go and protest about.
Palestinian Action Group is determined to march this Sunday. Police say their main concern is public safety, with not enough time for the event to be planned without disruptions to drivers. New details have emerged.
As I said, once again, I don't see the sense in it. I don't see the sense in these protests. I made a video recently about it and I had a bunch of people writing in the comments that I'm heartless and all this sort of stuff. As I said, guys, I'm not talking about the actual conflict. I know nothing about it. I'm talking about the protesting. It is fruitless and it annoys everybody. And that's probably the point, but it's not going to get you what you want. As I said, it just frustrates me that the Premier of New South Wales has to defend his position and he doesn't want the Sydney Harbour Bridge shut down with hundreds of thousands of people walking over it.
From yesterday's shooting in New York City, where a gunman stormed a skyscraper and killed 4 people. Live to US correspondent Marley Hogan. Marley, what more do we know this morning?
Eddie, investigators say that the gunman was targeting the NFL offices that were located in that Manhattan office building, but that he took the wrong elevator that took him to a different level above where those NFL offices were located. He took it to the 33rd floor. Now, the gunman killed 4 people in total, a security guard, a police officer and 2 employees that worked for firms in that building before turning the gun on himself. A suicide note was found on the 27-year-old gunman that suggested he was targeting the NFL, claiming that he had the concussion-linked brain disease, CTE. That is a degenerative disease that's caused by repeated head hits that can be only definitively diagnosed after an autopsy. Now, the gunman did play football in high school, but does not appear to have played in college or ever have played for the NFL. Eyewitnesses saw him walking into that office building.
Well, we're waiting for a meal. So all of a sudden see a guy walking with an M4, you would think, say something, you know? Nobody on Park Avenue said anything.
Who's going to say, hey, dude with the M4 who looks like he's going to probably on his way to do no good. Me, untrained civilian, is going to jump, straight in front of you so you can take me out as well. I don't know.
Everybody, I'm literally watching the man walk up to the building stairs. I'm standing right underneath the stairs where he's getting ready to shoot. No one says a thing.
The investigation is still
Did he say anything? I don't think he did.
in its early days. The NYPD is sending a team to Las Vegas, where the gunman was understood to be living, to continue their investigation. The medical examiner in New York is now going to conduct that autopsy and will look to see if this man did have CTE, Eddie.
Oh, it's chilling, isn't it? Thank you, Miley. It's been revealed a complaint over educators being left alone with children was made at the Point Cook Childcare Centre. At the same time, officers allege accused pedophile Joshua Dale Brown was abusing babies and toddlers. The Age reports the complaint was...
Far out, that guy needs to be strung up big time. Look, wherever he goes, wherever he gets locked up, he's going to have a bad time. A bad time. So for anyone who's not in this country, this dude here was doing all sorts of deviant things to little babies and toddlers while he was working in a number of childcare facilities. Even things like taking a dump in their food and making them eat it and stuff like that, just completely unhinged mental stuff, as well as CP, things like that. So... And I feel bad for the industry because this one guy, or there's a couple of people who do it. You hear about it. It happens over once a year or something like that, and you hear about some absolute creeper who does something horrible, who is a PDF file, who gets into this line of work undetected, but it puts a whole stain on the industry as well, which is very bad too. Because a lot of people just want to go to work and come home and have to put up with that sort of thing. And what they're doing now is there was some sort of movement to ban men from working with children or working in change rooms, which something like that. So all men now have been labelled as having the ability to be an offender. So I think that might be a bit of overstep. But look, I'll say in my honest opinion, I think childcare is a more feminine undertaking. So maybe it should be just for ladies. I don't know. Just my thoughts there. But yeah, there's been a lot of conjecture around that. But once again, I don't agree with though. I don't agree with that. The narrative coming out of that is that every guy is a threat, because 99.9% of men are not a threat, or even less than that in that particular circumstance.
Sent to the childcare watchdog 2 years before his arrest. It comes amid further revelations the second centre embroiled in the police investigation into Brown in Essendon was on a government watch list just months before his arrest. Brown was charged in May with more than 73 counts of child abuse. Queensland's Liberal state government will today reveal the terms of reference for a landmark inquiry into the CFMEU, including an investigation into whether the former Palaszczuk Labor government enabled militant behaviour by the union. The Industrial Relations Minister says
So anyone who is not from Australia, the CFMEU is a union for the construction industry and has a pretty average name, especially here in Victoria. A lot of underhanded things happen with people linked to the CFMEU, and so they're prime target the government to shut them down. But CFMEU, they have influence all over the large infrastructure construction projects that happen, and things don't happen unless they say they can happen. A lot of accusations of a lot of organised crime, and all sorts of that typical type of behaviour happening linked to the CFMEU. So recently, I think it was about a year or so ago, there was this huge investigation, and a lot of people in a CFMEU were more or less forced out, sacked. The president was sacked. It's being absolutely gutted in Victoria. So looks like it's happening in Queensland too.
Inquiry will determine if any current or prior law or policy has enabled or supported the union. It will also look into whether any individual should be referred for prosecution following major delays created by the union on major builds across the state. The Western Sydney Health District is now investigating Blacktown Hospital after multiple families revealed horrifying new details following a 7 News investigation. One woman went as far as claiming her mother-in-law was murdered.
Yes, she had cancer, but the cancer did not kill her. Blacktown Hospital killed her.
It comes as the grieving family of Daniel Carruthers claims he died because of alleged neglect. The Health Minister personally calling the family to offer his condolences. Blacktown Hospital is set to see major changes this week, including to staffing ratios and also a recruitment drive to come.
Yeah, a bit late, isn't it? But yeah, our health system is heavily underfunded. Why don't they... and understaffed. My experiences with the public health system haven't been great at all. You're sort of treated like cattle. You're in, and then they try and fob you off, and it's very difficult to plan follow-up appointments and understand what the hell's going on. And it's due to pure understaffing. So we got all this. Once again, I've made videos recently about cigarettes and the amount of tax revenue that these cigarette taxes raise for the government. Why don't they just use some of that money? I think it's like it's about $7 or $8 billion now, because the black market has eroded that and probably cut that revenue in half. Why don't they use that money just to use that to improve and bolster the health system, plus all the Medicare we pay, plus the Medicare surcharge levy if you don't have private health insurance. So don't get me started on that. So what's going on here, guys? Where's the money going? Probably not to the right places.
A major manhunt is underway after a terrifying attack on a woman at a shopping centre in Melbourne's southeast. It's believed the man was armed with a gun when he was assaulted a woman who was known to him at a shopping centre at Glen Waverley. Heavily armed police tracked the man to his mother's home in Springvale. Police later learned he was not at the address, continuing to search for him. Officers stress they don't believe he is a risk to the public. It's the National Day of Reckoning for 1.3 million students across the nation.
Anyway, we'll leave it there, guys. That's enough. If you guys want to watch the rest of this broadcast, I'll put the link in the video description. There are sort of a few main stories there that I wanted to talk about and give an opinion on. As I said, I think my main theme here is where there's a lot of pressure to be worried about and step in and do something about things that are happening in other parts of the world. I understand, people live here who have those backgrounds. I get it. I get why you're upset and there's horrible things happening. But my point is around The focus is always on issues that are from abroad, and nothing is really protested about over here unless it's got something to do with, some environmental, thing. Rio Tinto blowing up a cave with Aboriginal paintings in it and things like that. People aren't doing or putting themselves on the line for Australian issues. People who are inclined to protest. That's the point I'm trying to get across. Anyway, guys, if you've enjoyed my content, consider liking and commenting and all that to help the channel push along. Thank you very much.